In Plateau State, Governor Simon Lalong has pardoned 5 convicted criminals serving various jail terms in the state.
The governor announced this at an organized peace roundtable discussion with stakeholders in the state to commemorate Nigeria at 60. Governor Lalong stressed that the time to build peaceful, safer and secure communities in Plateau State could not have come at a better time. He says the goal of achieving a stable, peaceful and prosperous society is one that calls for the cooperation and continuous collaboration of all.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, certainly more needs to be done, and that is why I chose this auspicious event of the commemoration of the country's Diamond Independence Anniversary to rub minds on ways to further deepen the peace in our dear state.
We pray that the 60th year of Nigeria's existence will be a year that we turn that corner. We believe that corner is already turned. And we will go on and see a real comprehensive peace.
Now, every day, people are faced with various emergency situations, and knowing how to effectively respond in such circumstances is necessary.
Rapid and effective action is needed to save lives, protect health and stabilize the situation to avoid making the emergency worse. The impact achieved in such emergency situations will depend on previously planned preparedness and mitigation measures.
It is critical that any action undertaken is effective at such times during emergencies. Joining us in the studio is Julius Akpong, Safety Manager, Cummins Power Distribution Company, and a Safety and Disaster Manager. It's nice to have you, Julius.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Now, when it comes to the issues of emergencies, at our homes these days, there are different kinds of emergencies that can come up. We've heard of building collapse, we've seen issues of fire, we've seen explosions, we've seen even floods, and so on. So one way or the other, even accidents, these can happen anytime. But every time it happens, it seems people are always not ready. And those who even have the concern and want to help sometimes compound the situation because of not knowing what to do and how to do and when to do it. Talk to us basically, when it comes to safety in the home. Let me start from the home before we go to offices and maybe industries and even the road. What are the elementary safety tips that one should and must have?
Okay, thank you very much for having me. When an accident happens, the time to prepare has passed.
Okay.
It is time to...
Straightforward.
It is time
I like the way you put it. I really like the way you put it.
Yeah. You know, when an accident happens, you are now supposed to act out what you prepared for. But basically, in our climb, we have certain cultural beliefs that prevent us from preparing. Because, God forbid, don't talk about it. Why would you talk about something so bad? It will never happen. And then they will do like this.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. That has been our biggest problem.
Okay.
Because if a friend is planning a party, and I go there and say, this is your stage, people will be dancing, the guys will be jumping and all of that, don't you think someone might fall? He sees me as an enemy who is, only thinking about the bad things that might happen. But as against the way of, I'm just trying to look after a friend and ensure it's fine. And it goes like that back home to everything we do. We don't see preparedness as important. And that's, like I said, is because of our culture, our beliefs. We are such a very religious set of people. But being religious has not prevented accidents from happening among us. So it's time for us to really begin to think that, look, it's important that we take this seriously.
So we see a fire extinguisher behind us, behind you here now. Is this one of the levels of preparation for anything called emergency disasters and the likes?
Yes, that it's common. Every home, one of the commonest things that happen around us. In fact, in August this year, the Lagos State Fire Service has already said that 9 billion naira has been lost in Lagos to fire disasters. Within Lagos, this is not all over Nigeria.
9 billion?
Just 9 billion.
All right.
And that is so. Everybody should have, as a basic minimum, at least a fire extinguisher at home. Some actually have them. I've helped people fight fires and got to a point where I saw the fire extinguishers in their homes. Some do not know how to use it. Some are too much in a panicky mode to remember that they even have it. That's why I think it's important that, in this discussion, we get a little practical and see how.
Yes, so perhaps we should.
Should we come there so that?
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to have us
very
closer.
good. Let's see.
Let's come close to see how it goes.
Okay, so this is it's a nice to have, really, really nice to have, and it becomes very handy in the event of an emergency.
This is supposed to be hung somewhere.
It's supposed to
or
be
is
hung.
It kept on the ground?
It's supposed to be hung strategically.
Okay.
First, you look at your areas of exit. Where will you get out from when an event happens? And then you position it not too close to the likely sources of emergency, like not too close to an AC, but within the vicinity.
Okay.
And then it's supposed to be on your way out in the event of an emergency, so that as soon as that emergency happens and you need to evacuate, the next thing you do is pick your fire, because most times if it's a fire, it will be within that area where you're supposed to exit from. Like what we see is window blinds burning, rock carpets burning, ACs from the wall, and that kind of. So you pick your fire extinguisher. We have a simple acronym we call PASS.
Okay.
P-A-S-S. That P stands for pull. So you pull the safety pin. This is a safety pin.
All right.
Okay.
It's there to prevent discharge of the fire extinguisher in the event of an emergency. This is inconsequential at that time. As soon as you pull this will give way. So the P there stands, the P on pass stands for pull. You pull this safety pin out like that.
Okay.
And pick the fire extinguisher. The A stands for aim. So you do this swiftly.
Okay.
You
So
know,
that is
you
the
aim.
That's
You
the
aim.
aim.
This
All
is
right.
aim.
Okay.
You aim at the base of the burning material.
Right.
And the first S stands for squeeze. So you squeeze this nozzle. Now it's easy to squeeze the nozzle because you have removed the safety
pin
pin.
is
pin is out.
Yeah, so you squeeze the nozzle. This is the S, the first S. The last S is sweep. So as you're squeezing the nozzle, you're sweeping from
You're
end to end.
Okay.
All right.
But the first most important principle is don't be afraid of the fire.
Okay.
Because if
that's going to be a big challenge, maybe.
yeah, it's a big
Because
challenge.
the fear
So-
can cause confusion.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And panic.
So and panic. So now, what helps panic? I mean, panic. You can't blame someone for panicking. And if we stay here and say don't panic, it's not enough to prevent the individual from panicking. What prevents people from panicking is preparation.
Okay.
I give you an instance. I got into a hotel room, and all of a sudden, I saw smoke coming from I don't know where. But because as a principle, before I got into the hotel room, I asked myself, it's natural in my life now. What do I do if something goes wrong? So I had seen that, this window was open. I could go out through here. I could go out through here. I found my way
So you, first of all, you look out for your
So
exit point.
you look out
Okay.
for exit points.
All right.
Okay.
Now, also, along your exit points, there might be something like this. So you can now take it up and use it
And
to,
try
especially
to-
if the fire is on your way out,
Okay.
Right.
you can try to clear it.
Now, we understand that for fire extinguishers, some there are expiry dates on them and things like that. How would one know whether it's expired or not?
Beautiful. We don't expect an individual to know everything around the fire extinguisher.
Okay.
There are people whose duty it is to really
To come and check all of those.
To come and check.
Okay.
So as is the case with everything we have in our homes, the electrics, the water. So you get someone to come periodically.
check.
There's a standard we call NFPA 10.
All right. We're
We,
going
we,
to
we
wrap
don't, we
up
don't have
now.
all the time right now again, but this is really important for people to know
is.
safety first at home. Thank you so much, Julius,
Thank you
for
so
coming
much.
on the program.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much. That's it.
Now, when you're talking about the preparation, put into proper perspective what you mean.
All right. Thank you very much once again. It's a pleasure to have to always say this. And preparation, I mean, beginning first from home. Preparation means you have what it takes. You have prefigured emergencies that can go on. If you're working in a company and the company is using things that can bring up heat or fire, you've asked yourself, what if we have a fire? The what if question. You're at home, you cook, you have electricity, you have all manner of things. Preparation means you ask yourself, what can go wrong? And if it does go wrong, how can we prevent it from being bigger than it should be? So preparation at family level means you call a family meeting and say, look, behave like this so that fire doesn't happen. But in the event that it happens, We have a fire extinguisher here. We have smoke detectors. If you hear this sound, even if you are 2 years old at home, if you hear this sound, please leave this building from the next available exit. We meet at so and so location outside. Preparation means that families are so tightly knit together that they've made this arrangement. Preparation means that companies, before they even begin operations in a location, they have called an expert to look at that location and fashion out what can go wrong. You have a fantastic place to start your work in, but fire can turn it all gray in few minutes. So what do we do? So there are experts from the Emergency Crisis and Disaster Risk Management Institute who can, and not just from that institute, from so many institutes within the country who can actually do that, who at periodic moments organize programs to get the public together and help them understand this. But back to what I said earlier on, we have a culture, a mind frame that's not helping us, that is killing us as a people. And that is that when you talk about emergency, crisis, disaster, they tell you, make a chop belleful first. And that's a huge problem.
All right. But beside the issue of fires, another very common thing happening around us, especially in Lagos, is collapsed buildings.
Yeah.
And besides that too, just recently, about a month ago, there was a helicopter that came down, that crashed, and you see people swooping to the area. Of course, there's the issue of sympathy, because we still care about our people. The sympathy is there, and then people want to assist and help one way or the other, but sometimes they end up compounding the issue. What should people know when things like collapsed building happen, or maybe there's a plane crash? And we often say, God forbid,
Sure.
We're very used to that
It's
in
our common
Nigeria.
slogan these
Exactly.
days.
But these things happen when they have to happen.
Yeah. And thank you very much for raising this, because this is another way people have killed themselves and killed others who could have survived. Now, if you don't have training around an emergency and you're not responsible for it, this actually from the policy angle, we're supposed to have a disaster management unit of the Nigerian police, so that since they have police stations at close neighborhoods, as soon as an incident happens, the people are supposed to be trained to call a number. As soon as you hear that a helicopter had crashed into Okpebi, call the disaster management unit of the nearest police station. It's supposed to be so well trained that it mobilizes to that scene immediately. Someone else is cordoning off the site to prevent people from gaining access. And then another person who is trained in that area is bringing out people from there. If you watch some of the videos from there, the way some people were carried could also have killed them.
Right.
If someone survives from an emergency and you carry him the wrong way around, it can crack his spinal cord for life, and then he may never be able to walk again. So when you see somebody lifting an accident victim, you're not just carrying because, you feel passionate and you want to carry. There's a way you carry him and he will survive. There's a way you carry him and he will never survive. So no thanks to you if you carry him in a way that he doesn't survive. So the best advice to members of the public, when an incident happens in Lagos State, 767 is a toll-free line that everybody needs to call. When just dial 767, it takes you to control room. Control room redirects it if it's a fire to fire service, if it's flood to those in charge. And then I think Lagos State is doing fine with Lasema,
Okay.
Okay.
Julius Akwan, we have to leave the conversation here now, but we must thank you for your time
Thank you
on
very
the
much.
program.
Thank you very much.
767 being the number.
That's the code. That's the number. 767. Call it any time. And
Absolutely.